Today we are going to compare two smartphones in the market that are similarly priced. On my left side, we have the Realme 5 Pro that was announced not too long ago, and here we have the Vivo S1. These two might look very similar, but today we are going to put them into the test and let's see how these two fares out. So on my left here, this is the Realme 5 Pro with a 6.3-inch IPS LCD display, whereas the Vivo S1 comes with a 6.38-inch AMOLED display. This is slightly bigger in size and comes with an AMOLED display, hence the under-display fingerprint scanner here. But on the Realme 5 Pro, you have a physical fingerprint scanner at the back, and personally, I prefer this. In terms of core specs, the Vivo S1 comes with a MediaTek Helio P65 chipset, whereas the Realme 5 Pro comes with a Snapdragon 712 chipset. As for the RAM, the Realme 5 Pro comes with 8GB of RAM, surprisingly, and here we have 6GB of RAM for the Vivo S1. Both of them comes with 128GB of storage, so yeah. Now we got the specs out of the way, we should talk about the performance first. And honestly, in terms of single core performance, there aren't much difference, but the main difference here is in terms of GPU performance. So if you want to play some graphically intensive game like let's just say PUBG for example, for some reason the Vivo S1, you can only have smooth graphical settings with high frame rates or HD graphics with high frame rates. That's the most you can get out of it. And as for the Realme 5 Pro, you can actually go with smooth graphical settings at ultra frame rates, or you can go HD graphical settings with high frame rates. And that's only for PUBG. Let's talk about some other games like let's just say Honkai Impact 3, the one that I always use for graphic testing. For some reason, the Vivo S1 cannot run the game at its highest graphical settings. It kind of stutters all the way through, and I find that kind of bizarre. But the Realme 5 Pro has no issue running the game at its highest graphical settings. But of course, you can't get consistent 60 FPS, but it's up there most of the time. So in terms of benchmarks and gaming performance, I would have to say the Realme 5 Pro is obviously much better with the Snapdragon 712 compared to the MediaTek Helio P65 on the Vivo S1. Then next up comes the cameras. For both of them, they both come with a 2MP depth sensor and also an 8MP f2.2 ultra-wide-angle camera. But the Vivo S1 comes with a 16MP main shooter with f1.8, and for the Realme 5 Pro, it has a 48MP f1.8 main camera and another 2MP macro camera. So in terms of numbers of cameras and its usability alone, the Realme 5 Pro obviously wins here with the extra macro camera. And in terms of picture quality, I can say that the Vivo S1 is somewhat over sharpened in most of the pictures that I've took, and the lack of a dedicated night mode on the Vivo S1 does kind of hinder its performance in low light performance. And the Realme 5 Pro actually has dedicated night mode, which is called Nightscape here, and it can take some rather beautiful night shots too. And as for the Vivo S1, you don't really have that much of features in terms of the camera itself. You only have a toggle option for your HDR and a few filters, that's it. Then comes the camera UI on both of these smartphones. For some reason, I'm really particular about all these camera UI, and I have to say both of them look and feel more or less the same. The ultra wide angle button is still located somewhere out of the zoom slider for some reason. And I have to say the Realme 5 Pro is a bit better because you have the hamburger menu to house all of those modes into that single one menu. As for the Vivo S1, it took the usual route of just scrolling between modes one after another, which is quite clunky, I would say. If you want to shift between modes, it kind of takes a long time. Then next up comes the battery life. The Vivo S1 comes with a 4500mAh battery, whereas the Realme 5 Pro comes with a 4035mAh battery. Of course, the Vivo S1 is going to last a lot longer than this, but for some reason we tested and we kind of get the idea of the efficiency on that MediaTek Helio P65 isn't that efficient, since that 500mAh isn't that much different than the Realme 5 Pro. But then again, both of these smartphones can last you throughout the day without any issue if you don't play that much games, so keep that in mind. And then comes the charging part of both of these phones. This Realme 5 Pro comes with a VOOC charger, 20 watts in total, and charges via USB Type-C. Whereas the Vivo S1 comes with an 18-watt charger, 9 volts 2 amps, which is kind of funny because that's actually Qualcomm standard, but this is a MediaTek smartphone. And it uses a micro USB port here at the bottom. So obviously the Realme 5 Pro is going to charge way faster because of its smaller battery and faster charging compared to the Vivo S1 with a larger battery and slower charging. But when we normalize and average out all the charging speed, the Realme 5 Pro is still faster. As an added bonus, I want to talk a bit about the system UI itself. So the Realme 5 Pro comes with this conventional left and right scrolling for your home screen and then swiping up for your app drawer. So this is pretty typical. Scrolling down means you can get your notification bar, your brightness slider on the ColorOS 6, and also your quick settings here, which you can rearrange and customize according to your will. And also the top right button here is the quick access button to your settings, which is pretty typical in terms of Android smartphones. But for the Vivo S1, it's a bit different. So you get this iOS-like menu, so everything is on the home screen itself. And when you scroll down, you get this, a search bar instead of your brightness slider, and you can't scroll down anymore for your settings menu. So this button is not even for your settings menu. So when you press on it, it brings up Jovi Smart Scenes, which is Vivo's AI, I guess. And to access your quick settings, you have to scroll up, swipe up from the home screen or wherever. So when you swipe up, you get this, which is also very iOS inspired. And from here, you get your toggles, your volume sliders, and also your brightness. And here is where you find the settings button. So it really does take a lot of time to get used to this system, and it's jarring at first, at least to me. So at the end of this comparison, I think we should address that we are not really shooting selfies anyway, and we care more about performance, so the Realme 5 Pro is meant for us. But whereas the Vivo S1 is marketed towards the lifestyle users, those who want to take a lot of selfies and whatnot. And you can see the back of the phone, which is subjective. This is a lot more chic-like look. So you get this real subtle purple to light blue color shift gradient here. Whereas the Realme 5 Pro comes with this diamond facade design look, I guess. I'm not too sure how is it called. And both of these phones are really different from each other, so depending on what type of smartphone usage that you are lean towards. So if you just want something that's really good in terms of performance and comes with a really low price, then get the Realme 5 Pro. But if you want to take, I don't know, better selfies, I guess, with a lot of heavy beautifying modes or whatever, then go for the Vivo S1. Some might argue that AMOLED displays are much better, which I kind of agree here, but the under-display fingerprint scanner, I'm personally not a fan of it, so I do prefer physical fingerprint scanner at the back here, but IPS LCD is still not as good as an AMOLED display. So that's all we have to say in this comparison between the Realme 5 Pro and the Vivo S1. Do let us know what you think in the comments down below, or let us know at our Facebook page, which I will also link down in the description below. And I'll see you in the next video.